Hello guys, welcome to Mark's Shrimp Tanks. Right, I am going camping today. I was meant to stream later on, but as I said, I'm going camping, so I'm going to do an extra video today. I'm going to give you guys a room tour. I'm going to try and make it as quick as possible. We're also going to add macro footage onto each tank. Guys, I counted the other day, I actually have 20 tanks with shrimp in them. So that'll be 20 bits of macro footage I'll have to film as well. So there's some things that have changed, some things that haven't changed. We're going to go over what I've done through the week as well, because I've done quite a few things inside the shrimp room and outside. I'm actually doing a water change right now as we speak. Aged water for 3 days, pure RO, straight into the tanks. Dripping like this, as you can see. Right, so you'll see little bits of tips and whatnot as we go along like that today. Guys, the reason I'm going camping instead of streaming is because I can only go 2 days a week, possibly, right? And in the this time of the year, you know, it's like it's always warm. Well, today it's like perfect. Inside here it's only 22 degrees, but outside it's kind of overcast. You can probably just see here. It's kind of overcast, and yeah, it's just perfect for going out, right? Because I'd rather go out when it's overcast and enjoy myself for one night, come back, because I have to come back on the Tuesday. Just the way my wife works, she works all through the week and then she's off Monday and Tuesday. So I have to, if I'm going to go camping, I love to go camping, I have to go on the Monday and Tuesday. You guys know this. Right, so you're going to get an extra video today. So let's start off with this rack for a change, because I always start off way over here. And we'll have a look. Let's start with big tank at the top. Nothing's really changed. Guys, if you're wondering what all this little particles of floating stuff that looks like earth on top, it's actually peat. Right, I've been using some peat from Eheim Torf. Peat is actually meant to be used like in a filter, as in a filter bag, right, because it reduces KH and reduces pH. Right, so I'm trying this as kind of like an experiment, because I know that this pH is clean. Right, so here's a tip for you as well, guys. I have done this before, where you buy peat, etc. from eBay, Amazon, whatnot, or if you go to a garden centre, you can actually buy peat as well. But right, guys, the things that you have to be careful with this kind of peat is, if you buy it from a garden centre, for example, it might actually be infused with fertilizer, right? So it's not something that you want to put in your shrimp tank, right? You want just peat on its own. Right, so this stuff is clean. I think this actually has the tannins removed as well. That's maybe not what all of you want, but it shows you the process they go through to get this, to get the water really perfect. I think this is more meant for like discus tanks and whatnot. Shrimp are low pH shrimp as well, so that is perfect for us. So there's a little tip. This is what I'm trying. I've actually bought a couple of brands to see. Another thing as well, guys, is when you're testing, you will see in all my tanks, if you're testing your pH, one thing I did notice was my pH meter here, right? If I'm calibrating this thing, I need to do every single day that I'm doing the test, or it won't give me a proper result the next day, which is kind of a pain in the ass. But that's what you can expect with a handheld pH meter. If you have one of the yellow ones that you bought off Amazon or eBay as an example, then guys, your pH meters are probably wrong. Right, so you really need to test your stuff really frequent. I would probably do it every single time I test with this handheld one. This one cost me about $60. It's an AD12 as well. Anyway, let's get back over to the topic over here. That's a little tip for you guys. Use some peat balls, some filter media in your saltwater tanks, and it will help to lower your pH that little bit as well. Because guys, I know I'm going to go on about this a little bit, and I did say it was a quick video, but you know what I'm like. The lower that we can get the pH in here, the more the baby shrimp will survive. The more the saltwater baby shrimp will survive. Right, so let me show you an example over here. Look, this tank here, right, I think this was a platinum soil in the bottom here. You see it's very small grain soil. I think it was platinum. Right, the pH on it, right, I tested it yesterday and I tested it today. I made sure it was calibrated. It was a 5 pH, right, so it's lovely. It's a lovely low pH. The master soil and the Edi Amazonia is also a lovely low pH. Right, but some of my tanks with Caridina, for example, some of them are hovering around about a 7, which is not ideal, right? We want to bring it down that little bit further because, guys, right, it works like this in a nutshell. Once your pH goes up over 7, there is no acid buffer left in the tank to keep your pH stable, right? And this is where a lot of you guys will run into problems with your tanks crashing, where you actually have like a lot of shrimp dying all at once. I actually thought this might have been the issue with this tank here, but it wasn't. It has actually recovered really well as well. You'll see this in macro footage in a minute. Before we go on to all the tanks as well, guys, let me go over to my little schedule, because I think it's important that you guys have a plan, you have a schedule in your shrimp room, and you know what you're doing day by day, right? Because I used to dose ferts and iron, right, but I never used to write it down when I did it, right? So I used to forget when I did it. If you do it with a schedule, with a little board like this, look, then you know exactly what you have to do on each day, and you know exactly when to do it, and when basically you won't miss a day, right? So today is Monday, for example. I've already dosed iron. We'll cover iron in a second. You guys are probably sick of me talking about iron, but guys, it works wonders in a shrimp tank. We've already fed the tanks, what you're going to see. I've shown someone this on WhatsApp here. In this tank, if you remember my last video, this tank, the moss on the string algae on the bark was actually covering this filter, and I actually had to take out handfuls of this stuff here, right? I've been dosing iron properly like this on this board for 3 to 4 weeks. And look at that. Can't be coincidence. Can't be. Right, because I also noticed over here, this tank down the bottom was mega choked full of string algae, right? And guys, it looks like it's choked full of string algae now, doesn't it? It's not. This is nowhere near the amount of string algae that was in here, right? And I can tell when something's been suppressed because the algae tends to collapse on itself. Let me show you. My Opae Ula tank is a perfect example of this. This algae here was matted and it was halfway up the tank, right? It's getting less and less and less and less, right? And I've been dosing iron in this properly for a good month. The Cheeto algae is starting to really grow. This kind of algae is being suppressed. I have noticed something as well, guys, is I'm getting a lot more algae on the glass, and it was very evident over here in this tank. 2 tanks, very evident, right? And the reason I'm noticing it more in this tank as well is because I can actually see babies on the front panel. You see them? Baby shrimp all over the place, all over the side as well. I just put some food in. You can see how green the glass is, I hope. Right, and it's starting to go like this in all my tanks. This is possibly the fert as well, because I'm actually adding a little bit of fertilizer as well. Here, look guys, let me show you my ferts and stuff. Let me see, which one is it? I'm not using the carbon. Anytime I've started to use carbon, guys, I don't know what it is, my shrimp just don't like it. And the more I've read into this, guys, if you don't have like a high-tech tank with a good light, you're pretty much wasting your CO2, I think. And so if you're in a lower tech tank with low level plants, like I have in all my tanks, none of my stuff is high-tech, I think you're wasting your money buying carbon, right? And guys, I've noticed that my shrimp, mines don't really like carbon that much. If it worked, I would use it. Right, so here is the fert. Profito Professional Plant Fertilizer. Let me quickly go over the dose, because some of you guys will want to know that as well. 10 ml per 100 litres. That is your normal tank. I think this one, let me quickly just check here. It does not contain any nitrates or phosphates. So that is why this one is perfect for us. That could be the reason why my glass is growing very green on the front. Right, so I have my board set up like this. I do my iron on days I'm not using my fert, because I'm not 100% sure the chemical way this works, but sometimes ferts can interfere with the iron uptake, apparently. The 7 days in a week, I actually dose 4 days a week, guys, because I don't like to miss that one day, right? So I dose every second day, iron, 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 right? And I do know that there's 2 days close together, but that, it's just, it is what it is. There's 7 days in a week. I do top-ups all the time. I've actually got this as a top-up Tuesday. I was going to do water change Wednesday, but it's just too hectic for me to do properly like this. Yeah, so I do my fert on a Saturday, I do my clay and my fulvic as well on the same day on a Saturday, right? So there's my schedule, so you guys know what I'm doing. We were over at this tank here. My tanks are getting greener and greener. Guys, I've actually only been properly doing it like this for the last month, right? So I'm only actually now starting to see the real benefit of the glass getting really green on the sides. Yeah, and I'm seeing like more and more and more baby shrimp, so it is a very good sign. Very, very good sign. Oh, by the way, did I talk to you about my dose of those ferts? Because what did I say? It's 10 ml per 100 litres. I do, let me see, I do here. Did I write it down? 1 ml. Basically, guys, it's 1 squirt in each of these tanks. This tank here, 1 ml per 50 litres of water, right? So this tank will get 4 squirts, this one will get 3, this one will get 3, and it seems to be enough, right? So 1 squirt of this is probably 1.5 ml. So my dose is way, way, way lower, but as I look at my tanks, guys, this fert is more for tanks that are full of plants, right? My tanks are not full of plants, so there's no point me dosing the maximum dosage, right? So if this tank was full, for example, I would have no hesitation in adding 5 ml of that fert into this tank on a Saturday. But it's not, you can see, look how little plants I have in here. Anyway, the shrimp are doing great. I'm seeing lots of babies. Look at all the algae in the glass. Very, very good. Let's have a look at the other stuff. I am aware, guys, that this is probably the worst tank for you guys to look at, just because the amount of glare. I'm going to try and get my body in the way of the light here, so you can see just how many shrimp are in here. I can see a lot of red bolts, which is cool if we ever want to do a red bolt only tank. There's a lot of shrimp in this tank. These guys recently had babies as well. I can see like a lot of small ones, a lot of teeny tot little babies, which I love to see. This tank got kind of a clean under here. My most neglected tank in the room. I actually moved the crayfish out of this yesterday because it was eating everything in here. All the moss is gone. It was eating all of the plants. But I'm going to try and make this tank look lovely again. I'm thinking maybe hornwort growing up the back and maybe some small crypts in front. My Galaxy tank is doing amazingly well. Breeding wise, it doesn't look the best, but guys, the shrimp are just so nice in this tank. This tank needs a cull, but I'm getting lovely, lovely shrimp now. Look at this blue one. Oh my god, I'll try and get a really close up one of this one. This is one of the newer ones that have been born in here. Lovely, lovely galaxies. Plants are starting to do well as well, you can see here. These guys did have more babies very recently. I can see like teeter top babies in here, which is always a good sign. You see the tiny little ones, it means we're on the right track. If you don't see babies, if you just see like one size of shrimp, then you know, you're really something is wrong in the tank. Red King Kong tanker, I actually cleared this out a little bit today, just the surface and stuff, so we could actually see the shrimp a little bit better. These shrimp are doing really, really well. If anything, guys, I could probably do with moving on some of these shrimp. I don't know if I'll advertise them locally because they're not getting much bigger. These are like 1 centimeter. You probably see what I mean with the algae growth here on this. Excuse me, I'm burping on the glass here. But the thing I love about it, guys, is the amount of microfauna that you get built up. You won't see it with this camera, but trust me, on the glass there's like lots of little things flying around. Shrimp are doing good as well. which is really cool. Again, my moss is never really taken off in any of my tanks, but I can actually see a lot of babies in this tank as well. So they've had more babies again. Oh Jesus! You can probably just see them in the moss, in the filter moss. So what's our tank looking good? Let's see. I know these guys had more babies really recently as well. This is the panda tank. This tank does need a cull. Again, there's like teeter top babies down here. You can see quite a lot of them. There's actually King Kongs and blue bolts and stuff in here again. So, but there's not bazillions of shrimp. I'm looking away at the bark, but it's still early days with this tank because remember, guys, we only had 2 or 3 shrimp in this tank to start with. So we have a nice little colony going here. Let's have a look at our little tank. This tank is looking beautiful. So glad I did the change in this. By the way, guys, I took some hornwort from my super crystal reds. I rinsed it thoroughly in the tank a few times, and there's a super crystal red in here. Right, so it's going from soft water to hard water. Look at all that life here, little microfauna stuff, and it didn't die. It shows you how adaptable are the small ones. If you ever sell shrimp, make sure you sell them at around about 1 centimeter. This is when I used to do it. That's what I used to sell them at, because the smaller shrimp are much more hardy. They actually molt more frequently, right? So there you go. These shrimp in here doing amazingly good. You can probably see with all the baby shrimp that's on the glass and stuff that they've had lots and lots of babies. The babies are everywhere. This tank is very green in the front, which I like to see. It's not always the best for filming. This girl here is buried as well. Look at that lovely growth of biofilm on the side. This is what I like to see, this kind of biofilm, guys, where you have green and there's like a slight brown mixed through it as well. Looking very tidy. My Galaxy tank, this is my Galaxy fishbowl mixed tank. I'm still waiting on the girl to be buried, but guys, I don't know why, this tank looks mega clean, doesn't it? Like, water looks really nice. Plants are doing great as well. This is probably attributed to the increase in iron and that regular dose of ferts. I can see new growths of roots on the bottom. You guys probably would have seen this recently. Some of my, the German pinto, that's one of the girls, she is buried, so we'll have to get her out of here. I am in no rush with this kind of thing, guys, because even if she did have her babies in here, they would be red and white. So they'd be very easy to spot. I'll probably remove her very soon though. I wonder where the Galaxy girl is, Galaxy Fishbone, because we need her to get buried up. There's a good amount of boys in here now, so it should happen pretty soon. Crystal Reds are doing amazingly good as well. Yeah, they've had babies more recently. Again, you can see a lot of little teeter top babies here. There are actually more babies in here than I thought there was, so we are making good progress. There's a lot of them on the back here in the middle. You guys with the keen eye will see them no problem at all. As I said again, look at that lovely biofilm growth, iron, fertilizer. Get it done, guys. You know it makes sense. Cray-crays are doing good down here. The big girl had her babies. Yeah, I do see the babies. What they look like, guys, is more or less like a clear crystal, but they have bigger claws, and that is it. Right, so this is a testament as well. I actually add iron to this tank. 2 weeks ago this tank was just chock-a-block full of the string algae, and guys, I swear to God that the iron somehow suppresses string algae, because I can visually see that it gets flatter and flatter and flatter over time when you dose with iron. Let's get over to these tanks over here. Calcio is doing good. There is no explosion of babies in here like I thought there was going to be, but this might still come. It might still come. Tank is looking good, very, very green on the sides, lots and lots of microfauna and biofilm. So we're on the right path with all this stuff. Let's go over to this side. Let's go over to our Opae Ula. Adding this piece of crushed coral. The centre has made the world of difference to the tank. It's definitely increased the GH in here. If I had to measure this tank, the pH would be probably 8.5 to 9 easily. And that extra stability from the coral here has, I don't know, it's made a real difference to the shrimp. You can see them. Bambinos everywhere. My macro chio is doing really good as well. Sulawesi are staying in the gravel. You can see them here, all over the place. There's a lot of shrimp in here. It just doesn't look like there is so much because they all stay in the gravel all the time. You see them? There's probably hundreds of Sulawesi in here. You can see, if you have a keen eye again, you can probably just see them all over the place, right? So I'm trying to train them to come up onto these pieces of lava rock here, lava stone. So I put food up the top. Now probably later, when I'm not here, the Sulawesi will come up here and they will eat that food. Big bit of coral in the middle. And guys, let's talk about this briefly as well. Because I've changed to adding coral to a lot of my harder water tanks, just to make it more manageable for me to manage the pH and GH and stuff. What I'm going to do is, I'm actually not going to use the salt and mineral GH 8.5 anymore, right? Because I actually tested this yesterday. That the piece of coral in here has actually risen the GH up and the pH. The pH is 8.5 something now. I actually wrote it down yesterday. I more or less tested all my tanks to see where they were at. Right, so if it's keeping the pH up that high, that's more than high enough for this species of Sulawesi. I'm actually going to use the Neocaridina shrimp meal because this is easier to mix. The mix is within about 30 minutes. Talking of mixing, guys, reverse osmosis water, I did some testing on this last week. I did do a video on this, but I decided to scrap it because it would be a very, very boring video, right? So I'll just mention it here. I'll mention it like in other places, the odd time and whatnot. I did some testing with reverse osmosis water, for example. Let me go over the figures from my head. The first day when you have reverse osmosis water in your containers, the pH can be very low. Now this is because reverse osmosis water doesn't have any buffer in it, right? So you're going to get pH swings, right? And you do get them. I measured it for 5 days and you do get these swings, right? Eventually the pH stabilizes, right? It's also, the water is very cold, which is quite obvious because it's new water from the mains. The other thing I noticed was you get a TDS creep eventually with pure reverse osmosis water as well. I'm not sure what the cause of that is because I did these tests on tap water as well. I did two sets of tests over 5 days, and you don't get TDS creep with tap water, but you do with reverse osmosis water, right? So I'm thinking, what could that possibly be? What could possibly increase itself in the tank? I'm thinking maybe bacteria, possibly, but I don't have any way to measure that kind of stuff, so I don't know what it is. Tap water, guys, for example, if you're using tap water, if you're using prime, it's safe to use after 2 or 3 days. It's tap water, it has buffers in it, so it's more stable, faster than your reverse osmosis water. Guys, this is applicable as well. If you add your buffer to your reverse osmosis water on the first day, it will be ready on the 2nd or 3rd day as well. Right, so just to be extra cautious, what I am doing myself personally is I'm not going to use my water until the 3rd day, right? Because there's a couple of things, right? You want the water temperature to equalize with your room. This is why I have air going into my tanks, my water tanks. It helps to heat it up, one. It helps to circulate the water. It helps to manage all the parameters that wee bit better if you run air through it. It's more stable, faster is what I'm trying to say. So that's what I do. 3 days for me is the golden number for this kind of stuff. Where were we before I went off on a tangent there? Let's see. Blue Dreams, tank is doing really good. As I said, crushed coral in an inner tank makes all the difference because it is your pH stabilizer. If anything, guys, right, this is something that we'll have to experiment on a little bit, is this might be too much coral. You probably get away with about half of this in this size of tank, because I did the pH reading on this yesterday and it is quite high. It's like 8.6, 8.7. This tank was lower, the one right next to it, but it has a piece that's half the size of this, right? So that piece is roughly about the size of my fist. If I had my fist in the tank right next to it, it'd be about the size of my fist. So half the size of my fist in a 50 litre tank is probably perfect, right? This tank is doing really well. Look at the growth, biofilm, macrofauna. Right, if you're getting lots of these little beasties in here, doing well. If they're surviving, baby shrimp will survive as well, right? So last week these guys went off the food for quite a few days, and I didn't really know what it was, but now I know what it was. I saw this today. One of the apple snails had died, right? So these guys had a lot of food in this apple snail for days. That's why they weren't coming to my food. I also noticed my Sulawesi snails in here have had babies too. Let's see, can we see any of the babies? They're like, they kind of look like Malaysian trumpet snails, but they're black when they're small. I can't actually see any. It's odd. Very odd. Come on, see one. Probably down here somewhere, I just can't see them. Yeah, so they're doing good. The tank is doing better. These snail eggs haven't hatched yet, but it's only been, what, maybe 10 days. This tank has had a turn of fortune as well. I'm loving this red sand. In the camera here it looks like it's more white, but it's actually a reddish sand. I can actually see all the babies and stuff now. Since I added that coral into this tank, pardon me, I burped there. Since I added the coral to this tank, these guys have become way more active. Again, pH is stable, tank is doing better. I'm actually seeing, again, more biofilm and stuff growing on the sides, more than the string algae. I do notice string algae in general dies off when you're dosing proper ferts and proper iron. Yeah, so it's exciting for me because we've had these shrimp for such a long time, the green jades, right, and they've never taken off. You can see all the little babies. There's at least 4 or 5 on that rock there. They've never really taken off, but I think this is the thing that we needed to do to get them to breed properly. Let's have a look underneath. Blue Boltus, this tank is doing good apart from the plants. It's actually getting double the amount of ferts compared to the other tanks. So this is getting 2 pumps, which is 3 mil of the fertilizer I showed you once a week on a Saturday. Because you can see the plants, some of this moss is just dissolved to nothing. The shrimp themselves are doing good enough, which is awesome to see. But we need to fix these plants. Once you can get the plants to survive properly in a tank, because these guys here right now, they probably just don't have enough nutrients to live properly. Which you'll see is there's a massive difference in the tank next door that does have the proper nutrients. Look. You see the difference? Look, if we go back. So this gets 1 mil a week of that fertilizer. It's doing really good. Even the duckweed is kind of overgrown a little bit too much. I'll have to take that out today. Super Crystal Red has a nice little colony going here. I love this tank as well. So we're going to remove all this duckweed. I'm probably going to remove the hornwort here just to free up the space in the front, because I actually have Busa philandra at the back here and on this side here, and you really can't see it for this. So I think what I'll do, guys, is I'll move any hornwort I have into my harder water tanks, because it really likes the harder water as well. See how it grows different? It's much wider. It seems to get like air bubbles trapped in it as well, which helps it to float. It's not the same in a lower pH water. See how thin it is? You see the difference? So there you go. There is our little shrimp tour for the day. Guys, we're going to have a little look at something else as well, because it's not just the inside of my shrimp room that I've done this week. We've added a baby gate to the door, and again, you guys will be thinking, what's that got to do with the shrimp, Mark? It's to do with flow through in your room, flow through of air, circulation. I have a window open on this side. I have a door open here, right, and what that allows me to do, guys, it allows me to have a cool shrimp room. I don't mean cool looking, I mean cool as in cold. More or less all the time. Even when it's scorchy outside, it's just much better for me. So let's have a little look at here, because I'm doing some stuff now here. Clean the deck. You will see that in the video because I added it onto one of my into the Mark shrimp room stuff. Mulberries, bananas, mulberry, one of my nepenthes is out here. This is how warm it is here. I could actually keep my stuff like nepenthes outdoors. And then almonds out here doing good. Another nepenthes. One of my bigger tents. One of the girls had her friends over yesterday, and they were camping in it last night. Glamping, I would say. They probably have a TV in there. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's quickish video. Please leave a like if you like this content. Please subscribe if you haven't already, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Have an awesome day. Bye bye, Shrimp Fam.